Bikers threaten a teen, unaware he's trained to fight back. They instantly regret it. In the quiet town of Hartsville, Connecticut, the late afternoon sun cast a warm golden hue across Maplewood Park. Leaves danced gently in the breeze, brushing against the cobblestone path where families strolled and children laughed in the distance. It was a peaceful autumn day, one that carried the softness of change and the hush of approaching dusk. 16-year-old Malik sat on a weathered stone bench under the wide branches of a sugar maple. A pair of earbuds rested in his ears, but he wasn't listening to music. He preferred the calming sounds of a recorded philosophy lecture. Today's topic was Stoicism and the strength of the inner self. In his hands, a dog-eared book titled, The Art of Peace, lay open, pages marked with notes and quiet thoughts. He was waiting for his younger brother, Jalen, to finish soccer practice on the other side of the field. Their mother worked late shifts at the hospital, and Malik had taken it upon himself to always be there, always watching, always protecting. Malik's presence was calm, almost meditative. His posture was relaxed, his eyes focused, scanning the sentences slowly as he soaked in their meaning. Despite his young age, Malik carried a maturity beyond his years. Years of karate had taught him not only discipline and physical control but also the patience of observation, the art of stillness in a world that often moved too fast. The harmony of the evening was suddenly shattered. A roar of engines tore through the stillness, echoing across the trees like thunder. Malik looked up. 5 motorcycles rumbled into the park, their chrome frames glinting menacingly in the fading sunlight. The riders were all white men, each clad in leather jackets, chains, and tattoos that screamed defiance. They revved their engines even after stopping, as if to declare dominance over the serenity they had just violated. Malik instinctively removed his earbuds and tucked his book under his arm. He remained seated, his expression unreadable. The bikers dismounted with swagger, their boots hitting the ground hard. They didn't belong there. Their energy clashed with the park's quiet rhythm, and it wasn't long before they noticed Malik sitting alone. At first, there was only curiosity. Then, the tone shifted. The tallest of the group, a man with a red bandana and faded Confederate flag patch stitched onto his jacket, narrowed his eyes and smirked. "Well, look what we got here," he said loudly, voice rough like gravel, making sure everyone around could hear. "A little boy sitting in the wrong park, huh?" The others laughed, walking closer, their shadows stretching long and jagged across the grass. Malik didn't respond. He knew this kind of threat. Not new. Not surprising. He had seen it in the eyes of teachers who expected less of him, in the security guards who watched him more closely in stores, in the sideways glances of strangers when he spoke eloquently or carried a book instead of a ball. He closed his book gently and placed it in his backpack, still seated, breathing steady. Another biker stepped forward. This one had a deep scar running from his cheekbone to his jaw. He leaned slightly toward Malik and tilted his head mockingly. "You deaf or just plain stupid?" he asked, tone playful but edged with venom. Still, Malik didn't answer. He had learned that silence, when used wisely, could be more unsettling than argument. His eyes scanned the park slowly, taking note of the exits, the people nearby, the trajectory of the sun. All of it instinctive. Years of kata and meditation had trained him to remain still in chaos, to listen even when no one was speaking. That's when he saw Jalen. His little brother came bounding down the hill from the soccer field, his cleats clacking softly on the path, jersey untucked and face flushed with joy. He waved as he approached. "Malik, I scored 2 goals today." But the moment Jalen entered the scene, the bikers turned their attention toward him. The tallest man stepped forward, eyes gleaming with the thrill of new prey. "Well now, what do we got here?" he said. "Another one of you? Family outing, is it?" Jalen slowed his steps. The innocence drained from his face as he registered the situation. He looked at his brother, confused, seeking assurance. Malik stood up slowly from the bench, moving between the bikers and his brother, calm as still water. "You need to back off," Malik said quietly, his voice steady but firm. The leader's eyes flared. The others laughed, sensing something brewing, something they didn't fully understand yet. "Oh, you think you're a tough guy, huh?" the scarred man growled. "That how it is now?" Malik didn't flinch. His arms hung loose by his sides, his feet naturally positioning themselves for balance. It was instinct. Preparation. Not for attack. Not yet. But for control. The energy in the air shifted again. Gone was the fake humor and casual threat. In its place was something darker. The kind of silence that comes before a storm. The kind of silence that decides whether fear wins or principle stands. Malik's heart beat steady in his chest, but he could feel Jalen's small hand tug at the edge of his shirt. His brother was scared. And Malik knew this moment would not pass with words. This was no longer a conversation. It was a test. Not of strength. Not of fists or fury. But of character. Of readiness. Of resolve. He glanced at the tallest biker once more, reading every twitch, every micro-expression. And he knew, in that moment, that words had run their course. These men were not here to reason. They were here to remind someone of their place. And Malik had decided long ago that he would never accept a place built on fear. Not for himself. Not for his brother. Not today. Not ever. And so, as the first biker cracked his knuckles and stepped forward, Malik quietly exhaled, centering his breath. The time for stillness was ending. Something else was about to begin. And Malik was ready. The first blow came fast. A thick, clenched fist hurtled toward Malik's jaw, swinging with the weight of arrogance and fury. But Malik had already seen it coming. Time slowed in his eyes. He stepped to the right with minimal motion, fluid, precise, and let the punch slice through empty air. Before the man could react, Malik pivoted, grabbed the biker's outstretched arm, and twisted it down in a joint lock. The larger man screamed and dropped to one knee as Malik applied calculated pressure. It wasn't violence. It was control, learned through years of discipline, repetition, and humility on the training mat. Gasps rippled from the small crowd now gathering in the park. Phones emerged from pockets. Eyes widened. The biker groaned in humiliation, rolling on the grass, his ego far more bruised than his arm. Malik stood over him, not with triumph, but with clarity. His hands relaxed, his breathing measured. He didn't want this fight. He never did. But the other bikers weren't watching for wisdom. They lunged. Two more came at once, one from the left, swinging a chain, the other rushing head-on with a grunt. Malik shifted his stance and let his instincts guide him. The chain arced toward his face. He ducked low, sweeping the attacker's leg in a wide circular motion that sent him tumbling backward with a thud. The second man charged. Malik raised his arms and blocked the blow with a textbook inside forearm defense. Then, a quick palm strike to the chest sent the man staggering, winded and stunned. Malik didn't chase them. He didn't gloat. He simply returned to his stance, calm, grounded, alert. Around him, the park had gone still. Parents had pulled their children closer. Teenagers whispered in awe. One man muttered, "Is he even human?" Jalen stood frozen near the bench, eyes wide with shock and pride. His older brother, the quiet kid who always helped with homework and walked him to school, had just dismantled 3 grown men in under 30 seconds. The scarred biker, perhaps the most volatile of the group, shook off his confusion and reached for something under his jacket. Malik's body tensed, eyes narrowing. For a split second, he feared a weapon. But the man only pulled out a steel baton and snapped it open with a threatening clack. "You little piece of trash," the man spat, voice trembling. "You think this is over?" Malik's voice was low but resolute. "It's over when you leave." The man roared and swung. This time, the strike was faster, fueled by humiliation. Malik dodged again, just inches from his cheek. He closed in, grabbed the man's wrist, and struck his forearm with precision, forcing the baton to drop. Before the biker could recover, Malik swept his legs again, and this time, the man hit the ground hard, his breath escaping in a pitiful wheeze. Malik stood tall. still breathing steadily, still unshaken. The leader remained, the man with the red bandana and the Confederate patch. His pride had been simmering as he watched his crew collapse one by one. Now it boiled over. He took a step forward, fists clenched, lips curled into a sneer. "Think you're special, huh? You little punk. You got no idea who you're messing with." Malik said nothing. "I should end you right now," the man growled. He charged, fists flying. But Malik didn't wait. This time, he struck first. A roundhouse kick, perfectly timed, caught the biker on the side of the head. The man stumbled, off balance, and Malik followed up with a straight punch to the chest. Not hard enough to kill, but hard enough to drop him. The man collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. All fight gone. Just anger. Just shame. The park was silent. Even the birds seemed to have stopped singing. One woman whispered from the crowd, "That boy saved himself. And his brother." The leader wheezed, eyes narrowed in hatred. "This ain't over. You'll see." Malik stepped closer, his shadow falling over the man's slouched frame. He looked down, not with hatred, but with something deeper, pity. "It was over the second you tried to scare a kid to feel strong," Malik said. Then, he turned away. Walked past the fallen men. Past the murmuring crowd. Toward Jalen, who stood trembling behind the bench. Malik knelt and took his brother's hand. "You okay?" he asked gently. Jalen nodded, voice small. "You're like a real-life superhero." Malik smiled, but not with pride. There was sadness in his eyes. Not from the fight, but from the truth of it. "I'm just your big brother," he said. "And that's enough." The sun had long dipped below the horizon by the time Malik and Jalen reached home. The night air in Hartsville was still, filled only with the distant hum of cars and the occasional chirp of cicadas. They walked in silence, Malik's hand resting protectively on his little brother's shoulder. Jalen kept glancing up at him, still in awe, still trying to process what had happened. Their small apartment sat above a laundromat on the corner of 8th and Brooks. The windows buzzed softly with fluorescent light, and the scent of fresh detergent lingered in the stairwell. Inside, it was quiet, just the way Malik liked it. Their mother wouldn't be home until after midnight. She had picked up an extra shift. Again. Jalen kicked off his cleats by the door and dropped his backpack on the worn-out couch. Malik headed straight to the kitchen, poured 2 glasses of water, and handed one to his brother. Jalen accepted it, but didn't drink right away. "Malik," he finally asked, voice hushed, "how'd you learn to do all that?" Malik sat beside him, taking a slow sip before answering. "Years of training," he said simply. "Karate. Discipline. Control. Not just to fight, but to know when not to." Jalen furrowed his brow. "But, weren't you scared?" Malik looked at him, the question cutting deeper than expected. He leaned back, eyes tracing the ceiling. "Yeah," he admitted. "I was scared." Jalen blinked. "But you didn't look scared." "Because courage," Malik said, "isn't the absence of fear. It's what you do despite it." The words hung in the air. Then he added, almost to himself, "I didn't fight them because I wanted to. I fought because they gave me no choice. Because you were there. And I couldn't let fear decide who I was." Jalen grew quiet, absorbing every word. "Malik, if I train like you, could I protect people too?" Malik smiled. "It's not about learning to hit. It's about learning to stand. For yourself. For others. Even when it's hard. A beat passed. Even when you're outnumbered?" Malik looked his brother in the eyes. "Especially then." The two sat there in silence for a long moment, the kind of silence that wraps around the soul like a blanket. No more roaring engines. No more fists. Just breath. Just thought. Later that night, when Jalen had gone to bed and the apartment had sunk into deep quiet, Malik lay awake in his room, staring at the ceiling. The adrenaline had faded. The bruises on his arms began to throb. His hands ached. But it wasn't the pain that kept him awake. It was the weight. The weight of having to be strong. The weight of knowing that 5 grown men had looked at a teenage boy and seen nothing but a target. The weight of knowing that for kids like him, peace wasn't always a given, it was something you had to guard. With your body. With your mind. With your discipline. On his nightstand, The Art of Peace sat open beside a photo of him, Jalen, and their mother from 2 summers ago. He looked at it, then turned to a blank page in his notebook. And he wrote, "Strength isn't in the fists. It's in restraint. In standing when the world says kneel. In protecting what's good, not punishing what's bad. True power is quiet. Calm. Ready. I am not what they see. I am what I choose." He set the pen down and exhaled. There would be more battles. Not all with fists. Some with words. Some with silence. Some inside his own head. But tonight, he had chosen to protect. To guide. To rise. Not for glory. Not for revenge. But because someone had to. And because courage, real courage, means doing the right thing, even when fear whispers that you shouldn't. If this story touched your heart, if you believe that values like courage, integrity, and family still matter in a world full of challenges, then subscribe to the channel and join us on this journey. Every video we share tells a real, emotional story. Every voice we amplify stands for justice, truth, and hope. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment that matters. Share this video if you think someone else needs to hear this today.